joining us as well to get us more on this. Thank you so much, Alex, for speaking with us. When we talk about, there were three attacks that took place, one in New York, one in New Orleans, and one in Vegas. And, it was presumed that they seem to be linked. But from, the information that's coming out now is that the attacker in New Orleans was acting alone. However, he was acting as far as, that attack that's taken place. Joe Biden is supposed to, visit New Orleans. There are a lot of questions that are being raised, a lot of eyebrows that are being raised. But, from what we're hearing is they're not connected. However, take us through what's really the latest as far as the investigation is concerned with the New Orleans attacker. Now the FBI is saying was 100% his attack was inspired by the ISIS.
Well, look, I think here these investigators are going to have to sort through this because obviously the linkage between the two is suspicious, but it's not certain at this point in time. Obviously, the New Orleans attacker was motivated by radical Islamist ideology. We don't know exactly why the individual or individuals responsible for the Las Vegas explosion had their ideology. There's obviously the connection of the U.S. military, but the U.S. military is a big military. They may have served on the same base, but Fort Bragg is a very big base. So investigators have a very large haystack here to go combing through to find some needles. But I think the real top of the headline here for these incidents is that Islamist extremism is still, very unfortunately, alive and well and targeting the Western world. If we look at the attack that happened recently in Germany, if we look at New Orleans, these horrible attacks are indicators that now these terrorists, these ISIS sympathizers, will use everyday things like vehicles, just like the terrorists on 9/11 used airplanes to try and strike fear and terror and kill people and try and truly break the fabric of Western civilization.
That's right. Could better security measures have averted these terror attacks? And given the fact that, this is the time in the run-up to, it is Donald Trump who's going to be taking over as the new president of the United States. And given the fact that there was, an assassination bid on Donald Trump in the run-up to the elections, shouldn't security be beefed up in this month of January? Alex.
Absolutely, security should be beefed up, yes. I'll have to say that already security is pretty high for the presidential inauguration. It's a tier 1 security event, but that doesn't mean there's still a great deal of concern coming into January 20th when President Trump will be inaugurated at the Capitol with the outgoing president, with part of his new cabinet, with the outgoing cabinet, with members of Congress, with hundreds of thousands or probably millions of people in attendance on the National Mall. There should be a lot of security in Washington, D.C. in the lead up to the inauguration and on Inauguration Day. But obviously, there needs to be a great deal of vigilance because of attacks like this. We hope that they're not a warning sign of something else to come. You mentioned that assassination attempt against President Trump back in July. The second attempt, and the individual there never got a shot off, but it was still an attempt on President Trump's life. We have to look also, the Iranian government has made it quite clear that they do not want President Trump to live to take the oath of office, and they are absolutely determined to try and assassinate him. Something like an Iranian plot to attempt to disrupt the inauguration or harm President Trump cannot be taken off the table. That's a very serious concern. I'm concerned about that, and I think that President Trump's safety in those days leading up to the inauguration, and of course, after he's our president once again, absolutely paramount that he's secure.
Right, and of course, that ISIS flag that was found inside the vehicle, when we talk about that being quite a giveaway in terms of, this was an ISIS-inspired attack. That is how the FBI is describing it. What details do we have of Jabbar?
Well, look, he obviously is an American citizen. He was born in Texas. His brother has given an interview in which his brother has said that Jabbar may have lost his way. An ex-wife said he was behaving extraordinarily erratically over the last few months. So it appears, simply based on the information we have now, which is not absolutely confirmed because we can't speak to the individual, he's dead, but it appears that sometime between his service in the Army and when he committed this attack, that he became radicalized. The question is where, why, and how. And that's going to be part of the investigation here to determine how exactly that happened. The ex-wife had said that he appeared to be ingesting some of the strains of more radical Islamist beliefs. His brother had said that the whole family was raised Christian, but then Jabbar eventually converted to Islam. Again, when did that happen? When did this individual turn from someone who apparently served his country to a life of violence? However, I will point out one thing about his service record. It does seem that his separation from the U.S. Army was not happy. He did try to join the Navy at one point, but was rejected. So there may have been some warning signs with this individual's service in the U.S. military, some warning signs that could have indicated that he was unstable and on a terrible path to destruction.
Right. Also, Alex, what details do we have for the suspect as far as the other case is concerned? We're talking about the case in Vegas. What details do we have of him?
Well, in Las Vegas, it's a little bit more mysterious as of right now. That individual that was deceased in the Cybertruck appears to be a Green Beret, which is a more elite member of the United States Army. We don't know that much about him at the time, 37 years old, apparently killed in that explosion. However, the authorities in Las Vegas have said they have not been able to ascertain a DNA match at this point in time because the body was so badly burned. Surveillance and data have shown that the Cybertruck, which was rented, much like the vehicle in New Orleans, they were both rental vehicles. The Cybertruck went from Denver, Colorado to Las Vegas, pulled up outside that hotel, went through the valet area, pulled up in front of the hotel, and 17 seconds later, it exploded with the combination of a gas can and fireworks. So those elements, gasoline and fireworks, are relatively easy to obtain in certain states. The question is going to be, where did that particular suspect get his hands on those items, and can they link the purchase of those items to him or even to someone else? That's going to be the trail that investigators should be following over the coming hours and days.